Ever since Toyota and Subaru worked together to create a sports car, that being the original Scion FRS and the Subaru BRZ, sports car enthusiasts have been begging both companies to build a more powerful version. And while Subaru has never obliged with that demand, they have made sportier versions that are a little bit more track focused of their version, the BRZ. Now, in the first generation, they did something called the TS, which stood for Tuned by STI. Now, the TS is back for the second generation BRZ. This is actually going to be my first opportunity to drive the TS version of the BRZ. And in this video, I'm going to tell you whether or not it's worth it over a lesser BRZ and whether or not you should consider this over the Toyota versions, the Mazda Miata, and a handful of other sports cars that still exist at this price level. Let's check it out. Starting with the outside of the car, if you can remember the previous generation of the BRZ TS, it was kind of crazy. You got like a big wing at the back. You could definitely tell that it was a little bit of a sportier BRZ. This one is a little bit more subtle. We do have a little badge up here in the grille letting us know that we have a BRZ TS. You can see that the S is kind of in that reddish pinkish color that STI fans will know and love. There are no color locks to this particular trim. You can get any of the available colors on the BRZ on the TS. Now, they do pair with these really nice 18-inch gloss black wheels. You do get a little bit of a special color here on the brake calipers. So the Brembo brakes are going to be in this nice bronzy color. I think it looks fantastic when paired with the gray. These are wrapped in Michelin Pilot Super Sport tires. Those are going to be 4-piston Brembo brakes up front, 2 pistons there in the rear. Everything else on the side profile looks mostly familiar to BRZ owners, though you do get some black mirror caps and a black shark fin antenna as well. You do get the little ducktail spoiler. Like I mentioned, no giant wing on the back like you used to get on the old boy racer version of the BRZ TS. Just a very subtle logo here on the back, just like the one on the front, letting you know that your BRZ is a little bit sportier than your friends. We're going to do somewhat of an abbreviated tour here on the interior because there's not too much different going on with the TS version of the BRZ. The cabin is mostly the same. You do get a little bit of a special seat here. We've got the suede here with the leather on the outside. You get this really cool blue stitching, these really nice blue accent lines on both of the seat. If you're a big fan of blue, this looks fantastic. It pairs really well with all of the neutral colors, like you get the gray here or with the blue exterior as well. And it's a little bit less crazy than the blue that they did on the WRX TS that recently got revealed. You get a little bit more blue here on the bottom of the seat as well. You'll notice that we get an STI starter button here in this nice STI red. Put your foot on the brake and the clutch pedal to go ahead and start it up. Everything else is going to be pretty familiar if you've been in a second generation BRZ recently. You get a really nice thin steering wheel, all the controls you really need in a car like this. You do get paddle shifters if you opt for the automatic. The TS is only available with a 6-speed manual. You have the same semi-digital instrument cluster that you had before. This is going to be your base layout. You can push a button down here on the console to change it to the track setup. You get a much more prominent tachometer, which is really nice. I also like how they put the little STI badge in there. That's a nice little touch for the Tuned by STI version here. We also have little red stripes on the outer part. If you can kind of see those little accents, they're a little hard to see in the sun, but those are there here on the TS version as well. Same screen that you're going to get on others. It is an 8-inch touchscreen, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, not wireless though on these. So that's pretty much the same as what you're going to get elsewhere. I really wish they would have done a special STI shift knob. That's a little bit disappointing. We get just the same shift knob that you're going to get on other STIs, although you do, or other BRZ models, although you do get some blue stitching here on the shift boot. You're going to pull up and go over for your reverse, where you have your reversing camera with your trajectory lines, which is, you know, kind of nice. Dual zone automatic climate control, that's nice as well. And then the other thing that I should mention here for the 2024 model year on the BRZ is that we now get Subaru EyeSight, meaning that we have things like adaptive cruise control, automatic emergency braking. Even with the manual transmission, you used to have to get the automatic. That is a nice addition that I think a lot of owners are going to like. Now, in terms of practicality, we are somewhat limited here on the BRZ. We've got some bottle holders here on each of the doors. You have your cup holders that live in this little drawer, although there really isn't any other accessible storage anywhere. So you're going to probably end up be putting your garage door openers and whatever else in the cup holders here, which are shared with the back seat passengers. And if you've ever tried to sit in the back of one of these cars, you're going to realize the legroom is almost non-existent. I literally can't even get my feet in here. It is kind of a joke of a back seat. However, the reason why it is here is kind of a good reason, because you can just unclick it like so, fold down this rear seat, and then now you actually have quite a usable amount of space here, not for passengers, but for bags and whatever else you might want to put down there, combined with the trunk, which I believe is about 6.3 cubic feet of space. So not a huge opening here, but as you can see, it does go quite far back. Subaru and Toyota, the makers of the GR86, say that you can get like 4 track tires on the wheel in this car. So that's why this is a little bit more practical than something like a Mazda Miata. All right, now let's get underway in the 2024 Subaru BRZ TS and figure out whether or not the STI tuning has completely transformed what I already believed was possibly the best sports car that you could buy on the market, pound for pound, or at least dollar for dollar, because at the price level of this car, it is way better than it has any right to be. The steering on this car might be perfection. I think it's actually even better than the Mazda Miata, which already has some of my favorite steering that you can get on a car. The clutch pedal, super easy on this 6-speed manual transmission. I have driven a BRZ that has the 6-speed automatic. Definitely not the option that I would get, but as far as 6-speed automatics go, not too bad, because there's only 6 gears, so it really doesn't get like buried in top gear very often, but you're really doing yourself a disservice if you buy this car without the 6-speed manual transmission. It's part of what makes the BRZ such a special experience. Now, the TS, the tuned by STI, let's talk about what we're getting with that. We have the 6-speed manual, we've got the Torsen limited slip differential, although that is not exclusive to the TS, I'm sorry. We do have tuned front and rear Hitachi dampers, so they are a little bit different than what you're going to get in the standard BRZ, and they're great. They don't beat you up too much on the road, but they're nice enough that you can really take corners very confidently in this car. The steering, like I said, is among the most communicative that you can get at any price. I'm talking even compared to the Porsches and McLarens of this world. Like, just in terms of raw steering feel, this is nearly as good. It's just so fun to chuck this darn thing around. And we do have Brembo brakes, 4-piston in the front, 2 in the rear, that help us stop it just a little bit quicker. This is all good stuff here. It's very similar to what you're going to get on the Toyota GR86 with the performance pack, but here we have it tuned by STI. And the one thing that you are not going to get with this car is a lot of power. But that just means you can go flat out and really enjoy this engine, this buzzy little 2.4 liter Subaru sourced Boxer 4-cylinder engine. It still produces 228 horsepower and a very low 184 pound-feet of torque. They didn't increase either of those numbers for the TS model. They didn't do it on the WRX TS either. So the STI tuning is all suspension and brakes and tires and tuning. It's not necessarily more power, which means when you go to accelerate, you're not going to be all that fast. In fact, let's come to a stop right now. Let's put it into the track mode and let's try. That was 0 to 60 in 6.01 seconds. I gotta say, I launched that about as good as I could do. Maybe if I clutch dumped it and was really good with the traction off the line, I could maybe get a sub 6-second run there, but I'm really not too unimpressed with that number. I know some people want a faster car, but like for this price, I don't know what else you'd be expecting. I mean, you can go get yourself an EcoBoost Ford Mustang, but that only comes with an automatic now. The steering is not going to be nearly this good. You get a little bit of a bigger back seat in the Mustang, and maybe you can get like a little bit of a nicer cabin as well in the Mustang, although I think you'll probably be spending more at that point. But the Mustang is just a very, very different car than the BRZ. Of course, you can also get the Toyota GR86. They have the new Hakone edition, which is so cool. I love the Hakone edition. I actually just got a chance to drive that when I went to go drive the Toyota GR Corolla. It's got this gorgeous green. You get a brown interior. So if that's just like the color scheme that you want, I completely understand. I don't personally have a huge preference between the Toyota and the Subaru. I think that they're both great cars. But I do really like the TS stuff. I like the blue seats. I like the small STI touches because I know STI is just a really cool brand. And I would definitely consider getting this if I were in the market for an affordable-ish sports car because I really don't think there's anything all around better on the market. Just make sure you're willing to live with some of those practicality compromises. That just about wraps up our time with the 2024 Subaru BRZ TS. Be on the lookout for 2025 BRZ pricing. I do not have that as of this video, but Subaru did release a really cool series purple version of the BRZ. I just felt I should mention that in this video. It comes in, as you'd expect, a really cool purple color, although I believe others are available. So if you're really hunting for a BRZ, you probably already know this and you probably know what your tastes are, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you about the TS because it's what I have here. So what we know, pricing for 2024, you can start for the premium model of the BRZ, starts just above $30,000. It's $30,195. There is an $1,120 destination fee on top of all of these numbers that I'm giving you. So just keep that in mind. That comes with a manual transmission only. If you do want the automatic, you got to get the limited trim, a little bit nicer on the inside for $32,695. Or if you want that automatic, which I don't recommend it, but I'm telling you, it's a pretty good automatic. If you're absolutely sold on not driving manual for whatever reason, it is a pretty good transmission, and that'll cost you $33,645. Now about the TS, it's the most expensive. It costs $35,345. If you are a true enthusiast, I do think it is worth the roughly $3,000, not even price premium. You get a little bit cooler badges, you get the nice brakes, you get the nice wheels, you get the special interior. It really is a pretty nice package that doesn't transform the experience, but it does make it just that little bit sharper, and it gives you the bragging rights over, say, a normal BRZ. Now, what would you cross-shop this against? Of course, there's the Mazda Miata, which is a convertible, but only seats 2 people with a much smaller trunk. It can also get a little bit more expensive than this. You have this car's sibling, the Toyota GR86. The Hakone edition, very similar in price to this, about $35,000, gets slightly different sack dampers rather than the Hitachi ones that we get here on the TS. I've driven both, although you'd really have to like drive them on the same day to really notice the difference. I think you just have to decide whether or not you want a Toyota badge or a Subaru badge, whether you like the blue accents or you want that very, very specific green on tan of the Hakone edition, because I believe that the Tirreno edition, which was like last year's special GR86, is probably gone unless you can find a leftover there. And then honestly, the only other car that I can really tell you to cross-shop this with is the Ford Mustang EcoBoost, which, as I mentioned in the drive portion, is only available with an automatic. It's the only turbocharged option out of that bunch. It's definitely a lot quicker and the most practical. but it doesn't drive quite as good as the Toyota and the Subaru or the Mazda Miata, in my personal opinion, but it does make for a slightly better cruiser. This is a great car. It does have its faults. It's not the most practical. It's not the most luxurious inside. But if you judge a car by smiles per gallon, not miles per gallon, there may not be a better one on sale today. I really hope you've enjoyed this review of the 2024 Subaru BRZ TS. For more videos like it, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. I'll see you next time.